little bit after time, we'll start the public works meeting and immediately we'll go into a town board meeting. So if you want to take care of
Okay,
that.
so I'll call this meeting of the town board to order at this time. So Chris, can you just really quickly call the roll, please?
Councilmember John Casey,
Present.
Councilmember Terrence Bentley,
Present.
Councilmember Adeline Rudolph. Here. Councilmember David Sauter.
Present.
Supervisor Jared Simpson.
Present. Thank you very much. And can you confirm the meeting is properly advertised?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So what we would like, the reason of the meeting is today, the chairman has requested for timing to review a secret application for the town water main replacement project. So if you can just explain that real quick and then
Yes,
if there are any questions, and then we'll move to the
February,
resolution.
we discussed in February about doing the seeker. I'm sorry, doing a WIA grant this year, that's due June 25th, I believe. In order to meet the requirements of getting our information in, the board approved the resolution on February 18th to hire MRB to come and do the project coordination and getting all the paperwork ready to submit to WIA. And part of that, I submitted the schedule to you that we had to have this done by April 8th so that we can get it on for the public hearing. The April board meeting, it's at the end of the month.
22nd.
Yep, so that way there we are staying on our timeline. Cause we don't, then we won't be able to submit in June.
It's usually September, right? Did they move it up?
Yeah, they moved it out. They sent it out late and then moved it out.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're doing this in replacement of doing it on the Monday meeting, which we're not having.
Correct.
All right. Okay,
It's a,
all right, that's it, pretty straightforward. All right, so this time is resolution number 95, town agenda with consolidated water main replacement project and secret type 1 action. Intent to be lead agency.
So move.
Second. All right, we have a first and second, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution carries. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm taking motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.
Are you guys
But you
ready to
can't leave.
start us,
Yeah,
or
there
who
you
gets
go.
to do
Chris
that?
going can
I
leave.
was
That's
I
right
was
now.
so caught up in the fact that we didn't do the pledge, were we supposed to?
We forgot to, I was. It was in my
I
mind.
thought about it, but I didn't.
It was in my
Yeah.
mind, it was here, and then I wanted to get Jim to speak, and then I wanted to get you out. So,
Did you, who did the
you'll need to
the
get you to
motion
sign it.
thing on the
Yeah,
resolution itself?
I
That
don't
was
sign
Terry
this
and
before
I.
I leave today.
I think
Yeah,
I
I'm
said,
fine. Yeah, yeah, the, everything.
Should have been
Have
sorry.
Have a good day.
We'll sign it at the end.
Dressed as you're meeting minutes for that one, if you take care, that's a good one. You could give them those meeting minutes to Sam. Which one? For writing this one. Oh, yeah, right.
No, they're
I
fighting-
did write it.
They're fighting over these
Fight
minutes.
for that one. All right, everybody, thank you.
Thanks for.
Have a great day.
Hold you up to the end.
They should be in the folder.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure we get it right, so we'll get
Yeah.
it signed today, so. That's fine.
All right, with that, now we'll move into the public works
It's got that.
meeting here. We have the grass capital project list that was
I got it.
circulated at the board meeting and Jim sent it out again the other day, so I think everybody probably got it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Did
I'd
you
like to-
adjust that?
Start with the make a decision here if we could on how we're gonna allot this ARPA money. For a minute, I thought that Jim was gonna say and make another pitch for county road company case word.
Oh, yeah,
You
Jim,
just needed some
Jim who left,
information,
yeah,
so he left.
Jim Davis.
Anyway.
Well, he would have.
Well, I told him it's not on the agenda. He was, why no? I think he was just looking for the 3 areas that have been outlined as higher priority for source, so we gave him that information anyway.
Can I make a quick correction on this list, by the way? I sent it out to everybody, but the Greg Hoteling had sent out that the Middle Cheshire Road improvement, that was actually 1.2 million.
Right.
Not 12 million.
Well,
Well.
That was for the sidewalk part, not the whole.
yeah, I mean, like, so
Yeah.
this is the whole project, not just a piece of it.
Yeah,
This is the one that came on after the transportation study from a few years
Which
ago.
a lot of us, there was a lot of stuff in that we didn't want to do, so.
Right.
Well, anyway, the ARPA money, now that we're not doing County Road 28, the sewer project, we need to decide how we're gonna use that money. I would suggest we split it 50-50 between highway and park. And we use the money on the highway side for the Bristol Cross Road culvert replacement, which is what we need a replacement. And if it doesn't total up to half that money, we take what's left and use it to do the work that Jim has outlined that needs to be done in the salt barn. Where the side you're delaminating coming apart.
Yeah, the west side, especially.
So any thoughts or comments on that?
We talked about that, with Bristol Crawford one for sure, and I like the idea of getting the salt barn back, so that we're letting moisture into the west wall. And making the salt out.
Bristol's about 650.
At the time, yes, I think we're gonna. Reduce the amount down to 4. So.
Gone the right way.
We just decided to pay less.
Uh,
We can do that now.
we're gonna wind it with,
Steel.
Sorry.
Not good, thank you.
Yeah, so
400K there.
So while Jim is doing that, we met last week, so I met with Jim and. Sarah's out this week, so earlier this week I met with Jim and I met with Jess and Lindsay, and as we were talking about this. I know we've had some discussion about putting. You know, we've allocated some towards Ananda, we have that's allocated towards Ananda, and then the remainder that we had allocated towards sewer. We've had the discussion about putting all the remainder in towards Ananda, and if we are gonna separate it into other areas. In the discussion with Lindsay as well, and she couldn't be here today, she texted her over this morning and said she had to take a break today. She is supportive of, and I am as well, of being supportive of Jim and some of the projects that he has to do. Because the fact that Motion Junction took away a lot of the time and resources over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Alright, so it has taken a lot of the time and resources that could have been allocated towards other things, so we're kind of behind. We're kind of behind the 8 ball, so.
What are we spending the highway improvement reserve fund on? It's 355.
that's just highway improvement, that is just for whatever may be needed in the future, or
That's
is
the
that the
one,
capital
that's the
project?
capital project that we funded with about $1 million last year for you,
Okay,
so. Do you have plans for that?
you guys
I
didn't
would
budget
figure-
anything for it in the budget, so no.
Okay, because that was what I figured, I mean, when we put that in the million in last year, I figured it'd be used for things like this year, so. It's wow, but. That was
That's up to the
funded,
board,
yeah,
you know, you guys again.
because we're gonna have to, we have extra floating around too that we have to allocate again, so I assume we would be. Allocating some towards that from the extra money that we've got floating around right now, anyway, so.
We could, but that was never part of the discussion today, it's just to figure out. How we're gonna fund these projects,
Yeah,
then that will come into play after.
well, why wouldn't you fund it with this, that's what I'm asking.
We don't know what we're funded with, that's the point of today's conversation, is what are we gonna do? to
Okay, I would
fund this?
recommend you fund it with this.
Okay, so then,
So we blow our reserves on that.
No, not, he's got. three
I wouldn't
reserves. This is
do
the
that
extra
myself.
million that we put in.
What were
last
you
year.
saying, Jared? I couldn't understand what you were,
So
what was your bottom line on? what
My
you
bottom
said?
line was, and I had forgotten about, because we did fund the capital project fund. We did fund that reserve, that capital project fund for the highways, but my bottom line was, I am okay with some. With some of that going to highway, because the fact that. We've pulled away from highway over the last couple of years,
Couple years?
well, more than a couple, but you know what I'm
I'd say
saying?
decades.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, even though, so let's just focus on the last couple of years with Motion Junction. And the amount of time and resources that Jim's crew and others have put into there, I'm just thinking of in the last window. So I'm okay taking and splitting that and saying, so I'm
Pulling
supportive.
it out.
However, Jim recommends, and even Lindsay recommended splitting some of the money that remaining in
What,
fund.
what percentage? What are you talking?
We've got to talk about that right now. You know, we've got to talk about that right
50
now.
50 is my recommendation. What do other people think?
Right,
What's Lindsay gonna do? Well, I mean, the hope is to get that road up, and that's $1 million.
2 million, 2.5 million.
You. That
Those are the latest
bad
from,
house,
Greg.
Your. Well, we can jump around. Your Ornata Park. I had a 3 million, that you're gonna put a bathhouse up there, or restroom facility / utility room up there.
That's done.
Everything goes like that for 3 million upstairs.
Greg had just given it, what, last week.
There are a lot of stairs.
What's that term?
Greg sent out last week, his Thursday or Friday, sent out, the 2.5 million, I thought.
It was, but that did not
They
include
didn't that,
bathhouse. Right.
yeah, you pointed that out, so that's another
So that's not a
few
$3
hundred
million.
thousand to $500,000.
I would say 3 million.
That's 2.2, but that one also had the 30, that one had a high contingency, hopefully we're gonna use
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Didn't they
Which
say it was
is
to build the one to get the road up there?
Yeah,
And
Greg, are you listening?
underground?
Yeah, listening.
Um. Question, I know you don't, I don't have that, was there a road call?
I don't think it's broken.
I thought we
I
did
can't
last
put on my
summer.
glasses, so I can't see.
And I thought it was like some 1 point something.
That's what I thought.
Greg, do you remember what it was to get the road and the infrastructure up? To the
That
top?
was, yes, I think that was the last or last cost estimate that was sent out by
Right.
Tommy. So I think that one was like, it was around 2.2. I don't think we had it, we didn't have it, Alan, we didn't really break it, but we had. There wasn't really phasing associated with it, so like there's some of the parking lot stuff is in there as well. So it's not like it's just the utilities and just the road. Just want to make sure that that's clear, because there's stormwater that's required
Yeah,
and all those ancillary items. So, but the last total budget we had for that work that was identified in the concept plan was like around 2.2 million.
It was, so you're,
But I didn't have the bathhouse in it, so that's, the bathhouse is probably gonna be, you know, I don't know, it's probably gonna be north of 300, I would guess.
so. Greg, looking at the spreadsheet that you said about Wenonah Park to do the existing road improvements, parking lot improvements, the road itself going up, and the upper parking area will be around 600,000 to do
That's
that.
about right, yeah.
And then the utilities themselves, we've got to get up there, so. The septic, storm, electric, and it's 3, 4. There's another 600,000. And then those include a few parking areas, so. In order to do, I'll say just infrastructure, you need $1.5 million, 2 million, yeah, well, yeah, it's like general site right there. Okay,
I was gonna say, I'm like, normally they break that out, so I was just
the
trying.
only, Greg, the only question I have for you is, I know they got a 30% contingency on there, that's pretty large. Was there any reason for that?
The reason being is just because it's, I mean, this is all based off of conceptual, right? So we don't have a lot of. Once we get more detail into the design, we can start dropping the contingency. Does that make sense?
It does, I understand what you're saying, you're basically giving us a very conservative number to make sure that. We're not getting a new number later on.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel pretty comfortable about like, you know, our pavement and numbers and our water main costs, but. You know, I'm not terribly certain of our electrical costs, you know, those types of things that I think that still has to be vetted out. So that's what I'm saying, like, would like to leave a higher contingency at this point in time. Until we can get a little bit further down design, and then we can update a budget at that point in time.
Yeah, and we're assuming we're gonna use a standard septic system too up here,
Right. If that's possible.
if it's possible, so, okay.
I mean. So,
What did that add up to?
Well, I mean, it's.
It's that 2 point, well. The site utilities are 1.7
Which,
with a $500,000 contingency, which is 30%. Which she was saying is significant, but that's because the unknown that they haven't really touched anything yet, and it's all conceptual. So 1.7, and if you take a 10%, say a $200,000 contingency, that puts us closer to 1.9, 2 million.
what's it gonna cost us to get something, to get enough infrastructure to get that one up there and get started on the process for that?
750.
Okay.
You know, in that range,
To just begin the process of that. Okay.
yeah.
So this, I mean, I wanna be spending money on highways too, I do, I'm not, please don't take that this way at all, it's important. But when we talk about putting more of the ARPA into it, and I'm looking at, I just added up. The reserve funds and the capital projects that we've got for you is $1.7 million, so that's the highway improvement fund reserve. That is the DA 100, that's the highway equipment reserve, and that is the H 39, which is the highway road improvements.
Is that spelled out for a North Road?
No, none of that's North Road, that doesn't include North Road at all, North Road's got 239, 545 in it.
What
It's
happened?
843.
What happened to the request I had at our finance meeting 2 weeks ago to identify the reserves and the budgeted monies we have?
Jess spent the last 2 weeks getting the annual report done, which was a completely new format. She'll have that ready for the finance meeting. So that'll roll out at the finance meeting. She just didn't have it done.
It should be a lot,
I get it, it'll be a lot easier.
a
So
lot easier.
that'll be, she'll have those numbers, sorry, for finance. She was up to her eyeballs. 'Cause the state, in their wisdom, changed the whole format of the whole report this year.
Mhm.
And so she just finished that.
But like Adeline, you know, she's got the benefit of having the information in front of her, right? And I'm hearing her, but I'm better off,
You're not seeing her.
I'm the type of guy that
You're
I'm
not
not
seeing
seeing
it,
it, you know, rather than hearing it, just comprehend it.
So. Maybe we discuss what the wants and decide if
Right.
that's what you guys want, and then we figure out that amount of money to discuss what we have to find.
The problem with ARPA though is that needs to be something that's ready to go now, right? It's not like a courthouse, like we can, you know what I mean, like,
no,
it's gotta be something that's done
that's true.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have project ready to go now, like Crystal Crossroad.
Yeah, the thing
I
with-
don't understand the emphasis on wants over needs. We have so many needs in this town. That devoting all this money to putting a road in Amanda Park is just beyond my comprehension.
Well, let me ask you a question, that's what. Again, without having that information, but we spent $250,000 on the roof at the fire station. Can that ARP money be used for that?
I don't.
I
No,
don't recall.
So it has to be either infrastructure.
water,
Park,
it's gotta be getting water or taking water away.
yeah,
Getting water or taking sewage or drainage away,
yeah,
or outdoor recreation, outdoor public health.
Or employee salaries.
Or employee retention and employee salaries.
okay.
The county housing study, that was ARPA money. So because that is how, you know, housing, it could be spent, so if we did a housing study in the town, that could be ARPA money. There are grant fundings for job, like, it could be job creation. So there were grants that were given out to startups for daycares and other different types of job programs for some seed funding for other things for job creation, things like that.
Yep, so to Terry's point. You know. It seems, I agree with you that we got a lot of infrastructure issues on our plate. But the question becomes, which ones are imminent, right? Which ones are immediate, so that we can spend the money on them, that's. And it sounds like, oh,
Crossroads is one.
Bristol Crossroads is one, it sounds like. I thought I heard you say the repairs to the building.
Yeah, salt farm issue.
But I don't think that doesn't cover it, but that, we can spend money somewhere else and shift it.
Or can't use ARPA funding on
No.
the structure.
We can't use it on a structure, but you could spend somewhere and move. But when we met last week, when we met earlier this week, we had talked that we had 1.1 in ARPA.
We
Some of
don't,
it's been
we
spent.
don't have 1.1 anymore, it's
Yeah.
824 or something.
Well, we have 1.1 that we got. We allocated some for Ananda
Yeah.
already, but,
No, it's not just Onana, we had,
County Road 28.
thank you.
right, but
The engineering and design work,
Engineering.
because we've got more
It's
than,
like 824 or something, it's, sorry.
that was different than
That's
Jeff.
what Jess said.
Jess said we have one, we
She
still
just
have
gave it to us
1.1.
in this
Did she?
packet.
Okay.
It's not,
just a question now, because we spent it on the design work for County Road 28.
mhm.
How do we finance the design work on Middle Cheshire Road that we're doing right now?
It was already in the budget.
That was budgeted and that's not,
Can we move the money and use ARPA money to spend it and then keep the money in the budget for that?
So, okay, the question was that we budget money for engineering on Middle Cheshire Road.
Yeah. That's what I just heard, and we use ARPA money to fund it.
Not Middle Cheshire.
Yeah.
We use
Or
that.
County Road 28,
Because it
did you
was
say,
so-
did you say
Yeah,
Middle Cheshire,
okay,
or County
yeah.
Road 28?
28, I got it,
so
so
that was the
28, I'm
sewer.
sorry.
Middle Chester.
She said Middle Cheshire, no, I'm confused.
So I'm wondering, can we use the
It's different. 'cause
ARPA
it's
money to
sewer.
fund that? Okay. I'm just
Yeah,
brainstorming.
I know, I got you. Because we had talked, when we left the meeting the other day, when we were there with Lindsay and when we were there and Jess. We had talked about, the numbers that we had talked about were 800,000 of that going into parks, because we'd already allocated and not to Ananda. So the total sum would be 800,000 to parks and 300,000 to highways.
Right.
So of the remainder, whatever's left. Because we've already allocated some towards Ananda. So whatever's left, 300,000 of that would go towards highway. And the remainder would go towards Ananda,
Yeah, because.
and that would be enough to do the Bristol culvert,
Right,
because it's not,
300, I thought it was more than 300.
well, I had 650, but I was thinking 400.
No.
We're done.
but that's not gonna be, we can't use a percentage to Point Road because that 750 won't be there in time.
Yeah,
Most
so we
likely.
discussed Summit Point Road, the problem is, we haven't started, we won't start that until maybe a year from now,
It's out in the future.
and we can't.
What about any of the engineering and design costs we've experienced for any of these heavy and highway projects, such as these culverts?
What's the question, Jay?
We have been spending money on the engineering and design of some of this culvert work and some of the infrastructure, mostly the culvert work though. And my question is, can some, the ARPA money be used to fund the design that we've already done and then, you know, take that money that we spent on it and use it someplace else?
Do we have an accounting for what has been spent to get to the point where we applied for the grant for Seneca Point Road?
We could pull
I mean,
up,
it's there.
we can pull up in the each line, I don't have it. off the
Yeah,
top of
no.
my head, I can tell you that.
And that would free that money up.
Or it's for paying yourself back.
We could use it for anything else, not just ARPA restricted.
But, I mean, that money from sunk already, but
That's just an accounting function, though, right?
That's just
Yeah.
moving the,
Oh, yeah.
that's just moving the money around.
But I thought that the engineering and design on that Smith, the Seneca Point Road culvert was pretty
It
expensive.
is. Mhm. It is.
That's all, that's just.
So we
pretty
haven't-
thought.
but that hasn't been spent
We spent some money so
some,
far.
but
yeah.
there isn't a complete design and engineering work to go into it, yeah, is there?
Yeah,
Oh, there is.
we've only, what we've done is we engineered and spent money to get us to the grant, to get approved. Now we have to build, get together a plan to build the culvert.
I don't think that we have enough information to tell what the hell we're doing here.
I'm even sorry.
We don't know how much,
So
we don't
let's
know
do,
how much is really left. We don't know how much has been spent that you could devote some of this money to. We're kind of shooting a
so let's, what,
Need Jess.
dark.
So that's an
light
action
bulb.
item, is
we,
identifying some of the costs we've spent on some of these issues on design and engineering would be helpful, I think.
It would be
Maybe.
helpful, how, the thing is though, that we're going to, you could take money from, or theoretically, take money from this ARPA grant. and use it to reimburse those others. But what are you gonna do with that reimbursement? You're gonna devote it to projects.
And we, you could divert that money, let's just use
I'm not sure.
Seneca Point Road as an example, okay?
Yeah.
If we've already spent X on design. And we've already accounted for X. You could take X out. Fund X with the ARPA. And then use that X on hard construction cost if we needed to, or to make up the difference between what we get for the grant and what we have to pay.
That's what we have been
Or you
doing, though.
just
That's why
use
the
it.
ARPA is not at 1.1.
But I'm afraid that the Seneca Point Road
Oh, that
construction isn't gonna happen.
No,
No, it's not,
that's out in the
In
future.
time.
I don't think that we should really be considering Seneca Point Road here.
for ARPA.
Because that's, as
Too
Jim
far.
said, it's gonna be
We've already
after the
by the end of
expiration.
25.
But what John's saying is just that
Just.
You
the
can-
engineering costs
We've already spent.
that we've already spent.
That's what I'm saying, we have been doing, that's why the ARPA is not at 1.1, it's at 8 and change, because we spent it on engineering for County 28. I think we also spent on engineering for the other places we were looking at
North
sewers as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for survey.
Yep, so we already spent it, that's why it's not at 1.1, so because we've been pulling from it for engineering costs.
Right, and I'm just saying. Maybe there's additional engineering costs we
That we
can
can pull from.
apply it from
I just hate
now.
my only problem, I don't wanna spend the whole thing on engineering costs, is something we don't do, right? I want there to be able to be something,
But we still,
this is what we did with ARPA, you know,
But you
like,
spent the money.
still spend the
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, whether you do it or not.
exactly, but I mean, I don't wanna have to come back to the public and be like, what do you spend your money on? Well, we had about 10 projects we were thinking about doing, that we got an estimate on how to do.
Agreed,
didn't
but
do- you know what I mean?
there are some projects here that are gonna have to be done one way or another, like.
Bristol Crossroad.
So
Yeah.
the week is fine, and then you take the rest of it, and you take the rest of it and you build what you can for all that. With what you have. That's,
And to that question, that's the part I have a hard time with, because I can't see the reserves, I don't see the reserves that we have budgeted for Ananda.
okay,
I mean, I think.
We
Ellen
don't,
might have-
I mean, we don't have a specific reserve budgeted for Ananda, there's not a capital project for that yet, we were planning on creating a capital project for
That
that,
helps
but we
me.
haven't yet. So-
Right, that helps me.
So that's
understand it a
not
little bit
funded,
better.
that's part, other than, I mean, we can always use some of the CM funds for that, right? That's about between 300 and 400 last I checked, that's the Parks Fund, the
Yeah,
CM
yeah,
Parks line. So we can always use some of that for it,
and we,
improvements, yeah, that's for park improvements,
Okay.
not the
Right.
open space one, the
Right.
open space is just for, that's the really big one, we have a ton of money in open space right now, that can only be used to buy the open space, but the CM fund, that's the park improvement one, so.
Capital
So,
improvement
yeah,
okay,
so,
can be used for,
okay,
buy more swing
There's-
sets or build,
which can't do
Infrastructure.
maintenance.
no,
no,
just
not
asked-
maintenance, improvements, it's gotta be an improvement.
Capital
to parks, Sorry.
which these things would be.
So I just asked Jess to have that accounting for the next week.
I think, I honestly, I think you're right, Terry. We can keep having this discussion, but that's what, this was Jess's first stab to get us some of the information we're
Here's-
looking for. The hardest thing is that, you know, again, Jess is a finance clerk, she's not, you know, she's not meant to be the person that's, you know, the giant presenter of huge.
So here's
financial
where,
information to all of us,
if I
so.
could just interrupt for a second, when we met last week, earlier this week. The talking, and this is conversation with staff and others, the key things that had come up with. For projects that are that are important staff wise, that they asked the board to consider. You know, and as I go through, just give me a second real quick, as I go through this list.
Yeah, the renovation of town hall, that was one that everyone was very
Yeah,
looking forward to.
So-
And they've currently got about 34,000.
yeah, so.
There's 34,000 in the town hall renovation capital project and 218,000 in the campus repair reserve.
So in that, and the town hall budget is around 500,000 for remodeling from Greg, so
So
that.
it's got roughly
So
250.
that when we have the discussion next week, it would be okay, we've got $250,000 already set aside for a project like that. We have fund balance, so between that and fund balance, that's something that could be funded right now to get that done, but here, the list was Ananda Road utilities are things that we need that are important to keep looking at.
And we're saying that's gonna be around 800 to just get our sort of phase
What-
one.
What is the region?
I'm just listening, writing down the list, we're not really kind of hitting money yet. Obviously Seneca Point Road, which is important, it needs to be done. The culvert, there are multiple culverts, but the first one that Jim had was the Bristol Crossings Road, and what was the other one, Jim?
We can't, there's Monks Road, that should be a Bridge New York grant, it's a
Yeah.
very large, expensive culvert.
Yeah, so
And then
there,
McCann Road's another large, expensive culvert that Bridge New York we should go after.
so the small culverts, there are a few that can be taken care of in-house, the town hall renovations and the salt barn renovations, the salt barn upgrading right now. Those are some of the ones that can be looked at. There are others that need to be looked at with long-term funding. And those are the North Road improvements, the Middle Cheshire Road improvements.
Not us, road.
We kind of scrapped the fire hall for now, because that's gonna really depend on what happens with Uptown. Because that's gonna depend on where that builds out. If that builds out with 1,000 residents
You're
and
talking about Fire Hall Road, you just said Fire Hall, so,
um
are you talking about the road or the building?
The road,
That's.
the roads, yeah. So, right, sorry. So, well, because the fire station was on there as well, but those improvements there are really part of incentive zoning. I mean, they're at and the other ones that Jim talked about, so the larger culverts, Smith Road, Monk Road, those are projects that are gonna need to be looked at with grants. And then the new court facility, which is, I mean, that one is years down the road, but that's just something that needs to be in our background. I'm not saying bond the money for it right now. But that would be 10 years, I don't know. Right. But so those are the other ones that we need to look at for bonding. Blue Heron Park,
Just remind me, did the renovations of town hall include some modifications for the courthouse or the court facility?
no, it didn't, because we don't want, there was nothing down below because of kind of throwing money in there at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing I would like, and we're gonna bring them back again, because after MRB came, and this is Greg, so you know, we're gonna bring your folks back again.
I didn't mean to sidetrack.
No, that's okay, you just planted a seed, because we need to do some reconfiguring after the last reconfiguring, because that last configuring didn't work. After further discussion, but I don't know, maybe tweaking a little bit, because it's gonna be a few years. To make it a little bit more functional, because it's not super functional for board meetings right now.
And you just triggered that thought with me when you
Yeah.
said it might be 10 years down the road. I'm thinking to myself, well. If it's that far down the road, and I agree with you, it could be that far down the road, we might want to make some
You
modifications.
need a
to-
building.
Yeah,
Downstairs.
downstairs to make it more palatable for everybody, and
Yeah.
that's all.
Were we doing anything with the kitchen?
Or downstairs.
nothing at this time, we were just talking upstairs.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that we could do in the house too, I think, remodel the kitchen.
I guess it depends on what you wanna do.
I mean, what remodel
We'll
means.
come in and we can put in a couple of
You know,
new
you're-
countertops.
You're thinking of just throwing some pipe around, maybe, but we're blowing out walls and different shit, that's a different story, so.
Jared can do.
But so those five are the five that I think we're looking at. To pull some of the money that we have left from, with the five.
Well, look, you did touch on transfer stations. You had a little bit of information.
So, yeah, and I kind of share, and this will come out, I have not gotten the report yet from the county, they have not dumped it into our folder. Did I share you guys anything with the transfer station yet?
No, I have
Well, I'll
not.
share with you right now. Cause that's gonna impact where we are with the transfer station. Right now, we finally got a report back from the transfer station, finally. From the study that's going on. Now, for 2024. Closing in 2028. My prediction is. That within the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months, we'll be asked to make a decision. Because then that'll start the clock, because then a decision, say 6 months of decisions made, something's rolled out and started in a year. And then that'll push it towards that 2028 window. Nothing's gonna be done before it has to be done in 2028. Gonna put it that way. Here are the four the options are on the table, and again, this is all from memory, it was a long presentation that was kind of dry, so and my notes are horrible from it. Number one is status quo, keep it open, like nothing's happening. We're just gonna put blinders on and just keep going.
Are you talking about? The
Landfill,
landfill, okay.
Sorry,
now I'm
landfill.
confused.
Yeah,
Sorry.
landfill, sorry.
but I knew that.
Landfill.
Just making sure.
Number one, keep it open like there's nothing going on. Because whether you know it or not, the county gets tens of millions of dollars from the landfill every year. The town of Seneca doesn't have any tax rate, 0% tax rate because of the landfill. Geneva has a minimal tax rate and their county tax rate is subsidized because
Casella would still manage it.
of the landfill. Yeah, nothing changes. Casella runs it, operates it, stays the same. That's the cheapest for us. Nothing really changes. We just have regular increases. They just keep expanding it and keep running it. That's option number one. We extend the lease. I don't know how that's gonna go. There are probably about 5 hardcore supervisors.
Looking at how Seneca Meadows is going, you
Yeah.
can guess how that's.
There are
gonna
about
go.
5 hardcore supervisors who are against it. In fact,
Everybody down with.
yes.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a message board of, there's a folder to put questions about the presentation. And during the presentation, they used the word that the landfill is an asset to the county because of the revenue it brings. That word was attacked by other supervisors because they said, how can you say it's an asset to the county? So I digress.
First 3 letters.
Right, yeah, number one, keep it as normal. Number two, keep it as normal, but only bring in 50% of the outside garbage. So 100% of Ontario County's trash goes to the landfill. 50%, they're allowed to bring in 50% of the outside trash, which would reduce their volume significantly.
Would Casella still be willing
Reduce
to
their
manage it at that?
Financial.
They still manage it.
Casella would be willing to do
I
that?
don't, I'm assuming, but these are all unknowns. This is all theoretical right now. This is all possible, these are all possibilities. It's all draft format. It would reduce their financial windfall as well. Our costs would go up. We'd still only ship there. So we wouldn't need to change too much in-house that much. Our costs would still go up because their money comes from everywhere else, dumping all their stuff here. Number 3 would be a brand new facility only for county residents. So the county, Casella would close and shutter the landfill. They would maintain, they'd be responsible for it forever in perpetuity in case anything happens. If there's a leak, if anything else, they're responsible for
I thought you
remediating
had
it.
said if we take them off, that they are not responsible. for
No,
it.
no,
If we close it,
they're
we're
closing
managing
it.
it.
They
Yeah, there would
manage,
be a new
Oh,
facility.
close it and build new.
so we're gonna build a new facility somewhere else. We build a new landfill somewhere else. So that one shutters and closes. We find a new spot, we build a new landfill just for Ontario County garbage, Ontario County residents. We wouldn't have to pay as much to drive it and ship it. Same material, same stuff, but our costs are gonna go up significantly. Because my guess is they're gonna double or triple, our rates are gonna double or triple.
And everybody
But-
would be really excited about
Yeah.
having a new land.
But we don't need to redo our structure that much, because we're still driving the same distance. We would just need to redo our structure for how we get people to pay for their garbage, whether it's an increased rate. Whether it's an increased tag, whether it's tipping, whether it's pay to throw, whatever. So that's the third option. Another option that was thrown out was an incinerator that they're looking into. The potential of building an incinerator somewhere. Again, this is all theoretical. They're just looking at all the options. The incinerator, they said, I know it might be wrong, they said it increases the cost. It's about 3 times more expensive than a landfill.
Yep.
So. And again, there's a lot of pushback to the incinerator. They've gotten a lot cleaner than they used to be. They need a lot of land. So they'd have to need a spot to put it. What does that do for our garbage and our hauling? I don't know. And then the other option obviously is no landfill. And then we've got to figure out where we're gonna haul it to. Would we be a regional and everybody bring their garbage here? And then we have to have big trucks and we've got to ship it to Ohio, Pennsylvania, I don't know. That really wasn't proposed. Right now, they're looking for they're looking at those other ones. That last one of no option was not discussed at all.
Who is doing this and proposing?
Oh, I don't, it's
It's
they
not.
were online, no, it's a consultant group that does landfills and it's not Casella, it's an outside group. They were there remotely, so we didn't see them. There is one person local, but the rest are very much out of state. So they're not New York people.
So they'll produce a study similar to the one that was done 4 years ago. That's collecting dust someplace over. in the
Yep,
county
so
line.
then now they're gonna say, okay, now that we're closer, and it might be the same group, I wasn't there then.
Yeah,
This might be their next stage of, okay, now that we're here, now that we're knocking on the door, here are the options. So again, what is it gonna mean? We don't know. What's it gonna mean down the hill? We don't know. It could change significantly, it could,
I'm only asking to bring it up because we still have money, sitting
In that
account.
fund,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
even-
$800.
And I don't want the board to
better keep that money there.
take it there, because
It's,
something will have to change
Yeah.
yeah,
regardless.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
no, that just
Are
lives
the
there.
4 or 5
$854.
supervisors that are opposed to the landfill? The people that are, the towns that are adjacent to the landfill?
it's the city of, it's the city of Geneva.
Yeah.
The town of Geneva. The town of Seneca voted to allow it to expand, so they didn't.
Really?
The town of Seneca didn't, they're not opposed to it,
Mhm.
but it's the city of Geneva. It's the town of Geneva. It's the city of Cannondale, the supervisors. So it's that contingent, and there are a handful of others. You've got Canadice who's against it, so you've got another handful who are not as vehemently opposed to it.
Yeah, I would think candidates, they're so.
They're so far away, but just by the nature of the
Fine.
characteristic, the
Yeah.
traits of the personality,
Mhm.
very environmentally conscious. Is opposed to it fundamentally, so, but yeah, it's basically,
Yeah.
it's Geneva. The number ones, because they get it, they get hammered with it, they're all downwind of it.
Stakes in Geneva.
well, that was when an incinerator was proposed a number of years ago.
Mhm.
Was people in Geneva that were
Yep.
vehemently
Mhm.
opposed to it.
Yeah.
But as you said, the technology has improved
Yeah.
over the years. What do they do in Europe? They run it,
Yeah, and I
all
don't,
incinerators and.
Yeah.
There's nothing coming out.
so as soon as I get that, they're supposed to put it in our Dropbox. I've asked for it, we're supposed to be getting the presentation, I will share it to all of you so you can see it. So you can have it and discuss here,
Well, you
because
let
it's
us know
gonna,
when it else you have a meeting out now.
yeah,
Review
and
it.
view it and see the
When is it
presentation.
supposed to be completed, Jared,
This was the first one, they're gonna have others, so we don't have a firm date, my guess is in the next 6 months. We'll have more presentations at Public Works, this is just the overall update. So I'll know more, and if we have it on the Public Works agenda. I'll let you guys know if you're interested in coming to the meetings, they're really super exciting, stimulating. If you wanna come to those and just listen to any presentations or zoom in. And listen to presentations on the landfill.
Do they have Zoom?
Yeah, you can, it's WebEx, but it's the same thing, you have the options, and you can watch and listen remotely.
I think you'd get the most public support for 2 if Casella is willing to do that, which is reducing the outside waste
Yeah.
and keeping.
I'm
the
gonna
rest of
guess
this.
they're not, so.
So I don't think
Yeah,
Casella
I
would be willing to go for that.
Yeah, so, and again, it was reiterated, this is all 100% conceptual.
I would imagine Casella would still be interested in being involved, as long as they could make a buck on it. I mean, that's their business.
They just don't, the kickbacks aren't there to the county.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, this Casella can be kept whole or at least partially whole in terms of what they're taking in. Their corporation. But one of the problems out there is the space, I mean, there's running out of space, so eventually it's gonna have to be something else
Yeah.
done, so.
So, anyway, but yeah, so what Jim was saying, we can't see that as a golden
Yeah.
egg sitting there that
Mhm.
we have that money available.
Well, we can't spend it anyway, because it's dedicated for solid waste
Right.
management, so it has to be spent on solid waste management.
Back to the first page. For North Road Complete Street improvements. I know we applied for that grant. If we don't get this grant, we cannot continue to apply for grants and kick this project down the road.
Yep.
North Road needs to be replaced, everybody.
Agreed.
Okay, it can't continue to go on. So you're going to have to bond this project. And when does, I don't recall, when does that grant information come out?
It's August, September, I
August,
think that's what they're saying.
Greg, do you know?
For which.
North Road, the grant for North Road.
For the awards, yeah, I think, cause that was put in. What, around the end of last year, right? So, yeah,
Yes.
probably sometime in the summer.
And Greg, we have survey done, but that's about all we've done some stuff. We haven't done a complete set of build plans yet.
I have basically like, where I'm at, I'm probably around like 80%
Okay,
on the overall design, so, we're in a pretty good spot for design work. But even all that, like, once it goes to the DOT route, everything's gonna be converted to how DOT wants things done.
if, let's say we don't get the grant,
Yep,
so in the spring of 25, we could go out to bid for this project.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
2025.
We should,
Well, I'm trying to make us think about what we
Yeah.
get to do,
Well,
because we're in April of 24 now. And it takes
Right, you've already missed.
5 board meetings just to get through bond resolution.
but we got 2 a month now.
Yeah, I know, well, I'm getting at, it's like the timing it takes, and also the soft cost that the town's gonna have to fund upfront. To get to us to be able to buy this project, to go out to bid, in this, it probably go out, we think, bid in February, Greg, and then start in May.
That would be the ideal time, sometime bidding it over the winter so that we're ready to go in the spring.
You've still got 240,000 in the capital project for North Road right now to use towards some of those soft
so
costs.
that's in help with the.
Right.
That's a capital project.
Or we could use ARPA money.
I don't know, well, yeah, you could, that depends on if it's. When the date of land.
It might not run by that.
But
Correct.
So everybody has idea about Northfield then, for as far as like,
So with that said, we're gonna have to be looking at between North Road and Middle Cheshire Road, we're gonna, those are. I mean, Middle Cheshire, if that rolls in at 12.
It's not gonna be
No.
12. There's
If
dumb
we
stuff
get-
in
if
there.
we
yeah, there is.
Oh, that's right, cause I had,
Yeah.
we're not putting in, we're not
Right.
putting in the part of the seating.
The end of it was 1.2.
Yeah, what it was before, I think is to get from Fox Ridge to
Yeah.
go to.
But if we do,
Which was.
1.2.
Yeah,
But don't forget, if we get this WIA grant that we just passed the secret thing for. If you did that work. Replace that water line. You could put that trail tap the water
Right.
line and bring it all in one fell swoop.
Water line on the same side of the trail,
His idea, not my flat hand.
there's a water line same side of the trail.
oh, yeah, well, yeah.
No, it'll be the same.
The trailer would be wider, but
Yeah.
The trail would be wherever the water. line.
Right.
Yes.
That's a fantastic
Follow the
idea,
water line.
right, yeah, follow the water line.
so we're looking, but still, we're looking at about a $15 million bond.
Well, yeah,
Potentially for North Road and Middle Cheshire Road.
the 12
No,
million.
well, that's-
North Road.
Like one.
That 12 million was for
North,
like
okay, hold on,
like-
hold on.
benches.
North
you know?
North Road is 7 million. If we get a $3 million grant, if not, it's $7 million.
no, we'll get a $5 million
$5 million
grant for
grant.
water, but they'll only put $3 million towards it,
All
or
right,
an $8 million grant.
okay,
So there's,
I got you.
so there's 10 and then 11, hopefully, be conservative, then there are a few other projects that we may have to buy to get them done.
So
Again,
still, we're looking at that.
We need a new listing.
Yeah.
Well, the point today was to say, okay, here's the projects that we've been discussing. And what projects can we pay for, what projects can we bond?
Yeah.
And then how else gonna be.
But, I mean, this original list here, if we could just start on the first page and go through this as much as we can. Decide which ones are gonna be out, because some of them are, and which ones are coming for some other way.
That's easy. We kind of did that.
Well, some of them are including dumb
So-
stuff,
so-
like the Middle Cheshire Road stuff. There's literally
Well-
like benches and And, you know, rest stations on the end of White Cliff Drive, which no one needs,
Well,
you
let's go to
know.
let's go to number two first, two or three. Outhouse Road. FEMA is, we made application for, you know, money from FEMA
Right.
because of the flood last summer, so. Whatever we wind up getting for that can be devoted to the, we don't know what's gonna happen there yet, though,
We're still discussing,
no.
okay, probably discussing for a few more, several more
Years.
months.
Oh, good, but this year maybe.
Well, we'll get through the paperwork of what we're probably getting now, I won't see any fun.
Okay, but we'll know by the end of the year. probably.
Yeah, we'll know
Well,
something.
that's good, at least, so,
That moves
because
it down.
outhouse is definitely starting to fall apart.
Yes.
I see it driving over there, so.
Bro, I would advise the board that you go alone this year because that'll be a detour route. Because of North Bloomfield Street being rebuilt in the city.
Mm.
People.
Oh, yeah,
People don't
get
want
the
to.
detour on the old road that's falling apart, not the nice new one.
Yeah, so I would wait to do anything out there and then.
Yep.
So the city's going to use our road,
Yeah,
increase traffic on it to take the burden off themselves.
or it's construction season, yeah.
We should put a.
I told
area
Bart,
out
I'll
there.
do it, sure.
Yeah.
Very good on it.
Great idea.
Well,
I hear what you're saying, Terry, I never seen it done, but.
Okay. FEMA
we're
money.
down to number three, Middle Cheshire Road, we just talked about 1.2 million for pressure run and 30 easements, and what this sheet shows that, from. And we're not talking about some of the higher cost items.
Can we agree that,
That should be talked about, John.
can we agree like the pedestrians, so
That was
like the placemaking recommendations and some of the rest stops along Middle Cheshire Road, that we're not feeling those?
Say that
I would
again,
say-
please.
The place, like Middle Cheshire Road includes like $3 million for placemaking recommendations, like rest stops along the
Signs.
sidewalk and signs and things like that. That we don't need those.
No, we don't need it,
A walking trail,
yes.
we don't need bike racks, we don't need.
No.
It's a
Right.
walking trail
Right.
that will happen when the water.
Water
lines.
For
Yeah, I would
$1.2 million.
Yes.
It's that's a concrete path down through there.
10 foot.
It's a multimodal trail.
It's okay, I
Yeah,
just,
1.2 million.
yeah. Just I just want you sure you read that correctly, it's not just stone, it's concrete. So,
Greg, did that include getting it up to the, I mean, it dips down to switchback, did that include getting it back up to 5 and 20?
We were, I don't believe we were going across 5 and 20. I think we were just getting it to the head of the.
Switchback.
Yeah.
then we gotta go to DOT and discuss what, or if they'll allow it to.
Can we get it to switch back?
That's what this
Oh, yeah.
was, this was done like.
That will,
switchback.
we can do that,
Yeah.
but not beyond that,
Not, yeah, without
Right.
DOT.
right, even if we dead end it.
Yeah, can we at least get that discussion started with them? So, I mean, just throw it out.
Probably will.
It'll take 5 years, no,
Yeah.
no, so.
Yeah, but we'll need some sort of a conceptual drawing to present to regional up in Henry, not here, cause they're like, we're out. That's when we go up to Henrietta and they'll study it up there.
Okay.
If we could get it to the bypass, it would be a
Right, that's,
major.
Yes.
but I don't think we can get it to the bypass, we can only get
Well,
it to switch back, yeah.
But you can get it to the city.
Yeah.
Could you get it to switchback?
Again, the
That
water
gets
line
fixed.
is.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The water line
That's
is,
what we agree.
is the we agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go on, number 4, Fire Hall Road and Thomas Road. When,
Those should be incentive zoning.
well, the, getting a sidewalk from where Cook wants to build the single family 104. Single family 104 and apartment style. Bringing a road out to 332 would seem to me. Something the planning board would insist on anyway. But if that's not possible for God knows what reason. Any negotiation we have with them for incentive zoning would, you know, I would think bring that in. I'd just like to throw in also that. That negotiation should also involve restrooms for.
Yeah.
New Haven
We
Park,
all agree on that.
but not at the firehouse.
Right,
No,
right,
and-
yeah,
They're
I
already
think
talking about building
Absolutely.
And they just emailed, I don't know if you saw that.
He wants, I got a message this morning from Dave that he wants to meet with us the week of the 15th.
Yeah.
He wants to know how he sets it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell him that he should coordinate through you.
Yeah. We'll get it set up, and that's perfect.
So are we gonna
Side.
have them, are we gonna kind of learn from the last time and have them present a ready to go plan to us?
They're doing a ready to go plan.
Good, cause I
Good.
don't do that.
So I think like Fire Hall and Thomas Road for right now, I don't think we do any improvements
It should
there.
be on hold.
Yeah.
I think 4, 5, and 6, if I can just speak, I think, and County Road 16 is a county road.
Yep.
And Purdy Road, it's done.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if Janeco is gonna do it, right.
This should not go good.
Well, here's the thing,
Chris talked to, at our last board meeting, we talked about having that written.
so
I
Chris
haven't
is,
heard a word since.
Chris has been on vacation, he's got a couple things he's gotta do for me, I haven't gotten him back yet, a couple other
Good.
documents I need. He is working on that, but here's the other thing too, if Janeco doesn't build the road. It only hurts him.
Yeah.
Right, the water line's in. The water line's in, the water line's done.
I thought we wanted the road
We,
for a bypass to 330.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That helps.
that was a benefit, that was just
The side benefit.
that was a side benefit and a justification in case we went for a grant or something else to try to do it. But that was just to justify,
I think it was kind of a,
So-
we would prefer the road, not
Okay,
we
so-
require the road.
Understanding that. Why wouldn't we push Janeco though to complete it?
oh, and we are going to. But my point is, he's gonna, at the end of the day, if something happens and he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's his money that he's losing,
I understand that,
but
but
we're still pushing him to do it.
pushing him to do it.
I mean,
agree.
he
Oh,
called,
not us.
no, we are not doing it if it comes back, I mean. I think he calls me more than my wife does now. I mean, any water, any pipe, any drainage, I showed you that.
Yeah, I
pipe,
saw
I'm like,
that.
oh my goodness,
I didn't have a response, because
it's ruining Frankie's produce
it's not
pit.
anything.
It's like,
I've
but
already
anyway,
went out there and.
I know. But so that's in his court to build the road. You're right. We pushed him to do it. It's part of the agreement. He said he would do it.
And we should ask for a time frame, and I would even go to the point of maybe asking for a surety thing. That's negotiable.
Yeah,
Yeah, in my mind, what we really want to do is get
Sure.
town off the hook.
Absolutely.
Paying for the road, and what he does, he does.
and that's part of the, you know, even part of the planning board discussion to say.
We got, yeah,
And you guys, we talked, you guys are on top of it, and even the discussion of them, now what's your time frame to get this stuff built?
and who's gonna pay?
Yeah. Or not the fact, not even the who. It's like, so.
When?
Yeah, when are you installing, you know, when do you think you'll be installing your road? I wouldn't even do the who, don't even say who, we're done with who, because we know who.
Just when. Nowhere.
Yeah, we know where.
Let's move on to culverts and road.
Culverts.
Talked about, Bridge New York, grant money, trying to get grant money for that,
Right,
that and, Smith Road.
Munch Road, the Bridge York man.
What about Smithville?
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. Yes, Smith Road, that's something we can, I better, but it's to do ourselves, just, it's something to budget in our budget to do. Like, I'm getting as like,
I mean, applying for the grant or?
no, not, I wouldn't, I would, how much you know, put this, we could put the box culvert in for 500,000. You know, it's be a concrete box culvert, because we set through there
For Smith,
for Smith Road.
How bad is that culvert?
It's not, it's terribly undersized, is what the problem
Okay,
is what's going on there, and you can't use a larger metal culvert because there's not enough cover.
Hmm.
All right, so we have to go with a wide box culvert that's shallow that can convey the water.
just to get more,
Well, we need, you know, the problem is we can't put two pipes together, because what happens every time is the trees come down from the gully, end up in the middle, block it, plug it, and then goes over the top, so. We need wide. But maybe like 3 foot tall concrete box culvert, say 10 by 3, so we can convey the water across the road. So we can stop fixing the road every time it floods, it takes the road out.
Bristol Crossroads, we've talked about that,
Mhm.
we're gonna use ARPA money for that.
If that's, I'm all for
And
use
that's-
our money for that.
But that's,
I would, like, I mean, obviously we need to do it,
I
but I
don't
would
think-
prefer we use one of the.
But we're gonna
highway
fund that.
I don't
funds for
think
that.
we can really answer it until we
No.
get.
but Bristol Crossroads,
Better
we're gonna
idea
try to
for
fund
work,
that,
yeah.
but we're gonna try to fund that for 24, one way or the other, correct?
Yes.
One thing I would say to everybody here is that you got till the end of 25 to spend your ARPA money.
Yep.
Okay, so. I don't know what you do with Upland Ononda. And talk with Lindsay, like summertime work is not gonna work for construction at Ononda.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna be,
Tough.
say, you're gonna have to close the upland, say, at Labor Day. Until our way that we're under construction, like, kinda like what we did down at Motion Junction, like,
Do you contemplate that this year? I mean, cause anytime you close it at that, they do that Halloween in Ononda, where there's 1,000
Well-
cars there.
I
I mean,
mean,
that'll be a problem,
it,
or they'll have to shuttle people from somewhere else.
there's also that thought, it all depends on. What we approach first, so what I'm getting at is like you could do the work through the woods and leave the lower infrastructure in until. After that, but problem is you get too late, you're not paving,
Right.
Yeah,
so you're,
Yeah.
you might. You might have to take a year off. Or find someplace else to put it. No one wants to hear that, but
Halloween at outhouse instead of Halloween at Amanda.
You do that.
all I'm saying is,
It's easy
you know,
to do
like,
that.
you are limiting. Your construction season very, very tight. In order to keep the
Yeah.
facility open,
So,
or the town boards will take the approach that, listen, we're closing up land. For, from
one season.
June through October. To get the work done, I mean, no one's gonna like it. But you.
Well, we would have to have that done
Temporary
way ahead
inconvenience
because
or
we've already
permanent
booked them,
Right,
so.
so that's,
Yeah, be
you're
careful, make sure we-
squeezing yourself pretty tight when you start getting to September, October
Yeah, yeah,
with work.
but if we're contemplating doing that work this year, April now, I don't.
No,
Let
if
people go on to schedule and to,
if you did anything this year, it'd be in the fall.
yeah. But I mean, even to do it in the fall, we've gotta be making that decision very.
Now, right,
Yeah.
right.
So what did you work with Lindsay for, cause I know you two talked about trying to get that cabin up there and the basic infrastructure to supply that cabin and. You know, get through, what did you two talk about doing?
We talked about where that cabin would go, foundation, and then we gotta see about getting water up to it.
Okay.
Cause currently, we got water up to the existing bathhouse.
Yep.
Now we just gotta get it up the hill farther, but then we gotta tie the septic system
Sewer.
back in,
Mhm.
so we, part of my question to all of us was, do we just get the cabin up there and call it good, or do we tie it all in?
I think we gotta tie it all in so that we can rent it,
Okay.
use it,
I don't know if we have a large enough service up there to power it,
or the septic,
no, the actual
electric,
electric.
got it.
Greg and I met with, actually last week. With the electrical engineer, he went through what is existing, and he'll give us some feedback on. What we can and can't do,
Okay,
okay,
We're gonna have to make some decisions fairly quickly, whether it's this year or next year. It may be
Well-
better to delay it till next year so that you can get a firm plan in place and have. You know, step through it, but I don't know, I mean, that's,
I know everybody wants to the cabin going up
Oh, yeah.
and rented. I just don't know
yeah,
if we're doing our work twice.
That's what I was wondering, are we gonna do it again when we
Because
do?
you've got to re-sign and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
I wouldn't be for that.
Just make you aware of it.
can you? At least get Kevin out of here.
Yep. Now we gotta figure it out, the guys have got, we,
but then it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind, you know?
We know we're gonna spend the money up there, I
Right.
mean, that's,
There's a spot on 332, just got a double line in front of it, and we could put a cabin next to it as
oh, that
well.
the other day.
you gotta see what the guys built, they built this plate that's gonna go on the loader. Cause the guy who says, he goes, I can't get the truck and this and that, so we're gonna. If we built this receiver
Oh, the cat.
to put on the loader, then we're gonna push up the hill, cause it articulates. So we could get around tight areas all through there and stuff, they were pretty good, the guys that sent them down there, they came back like, we'll get it up there, I'm like, okay.
Are we gonna be, because you're gonna have to do it 6 more times.
Yeah, I know, it was, yeah, they came up with a good solution,
cool.
they built what they needed here to get up on the hill.
Cool. Videotape it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Put Terry in.
do a
front.
time lapse.
Well, the last time we put canvas to the hill, we used a dozer, 2 12-inch I beams. And we dragged them up there, we set them on there.
Oh,
Some
wow.
didn't make it so well at the time.
Yeah, well,
It would help clear the area for.
So anyways,
So you're gonna bring it up the existing road?
Yep.
Not, you're not talking about clearing the new path,
correct.
okay.
Nope, we have existing roads.
Right, well, somehow we got from.
I know, so Bristol Cross Road, we're gonna do this year. We would like to use our money to repair this cross culvert.
Why don't we, Jerry, if we could get from Josh.
I've asked her.
All right, what monies or where, and then maybe at the finance committee meeting, we can. Make some decision that here's how we're gonna do it.
I've asked her, and
John,
John, I've asked her for that report, yeah.
Would that be an accounting of where all that 1.5 is gone? Because if
I asked her
we're gonna
for the
split it
ARPA,
between two, we.
What, you mean
got
one
some
point
spending.
one?
1.15.
yeah, I asked her for the
Are you talking about the
ARPA.
ARPA?
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Monk's Road culvert.
Yeah,
When would the Monk's Road culvert have to be done? When is that?
well, the decking itself is in poor shape, this is the part that supports the road. The walls are decent, it's the decking that's in bad shape, where the concrete's actually deteriorating back away from the weight walls.
Can McCann and Monks be combined in the same Bridge New York grant,
We could try it,
or would they have to go separate?
we might get better luck if we had. A smaller amount, so, cause there's only so much money, so asking for, say, 4.5 million. And we don't get it versus what we'll give Ontario County on our culvert. Now, our county did very well in the last bridge.
Yes, we
The county got 2 or 3, we got 1, the state got 2, there's 2 on State Route 21 in a place between Jones or Second Point and Montrose. So, I don't know if we'll be that, I like to kind of move money around the different areas, so I'll have to see if that comes about. If
Is
it
it
doesn't,
2-year cycle or 1 year Bridge? Is it
every year you get.
It's
apply.
annual, okay.
Yeah, as long as we get funding,
Yeah,
So our approach to Monk's Road would be to ask for grant
grant money,
first and then.
they'll go from there.
Okay.
It's a little after 11.
No, yeah, to get the roads, yeah.
Yeah, so the first one, Terry, Bushwood Lane, I am working with FEMA because of the flooding to get that rebuilt. Now. I don't know what we'll get folks from them after mitigation, but it is, at least if we were to do it ourselves, it'd be 600,000.
nothing from the VA and everything.
Oh, no, absolutely
No.
not, they don't give two. They don't care about us.
And they're not talking anymore.
No, they're not talking.
They're all done on their little septic,
They're
thing. We
done
spent
everything.
how many minutes?
I don't know what happened up there, but they're,
Well, the whole discussion with the wastewater, all the.
gone.
What happened to West Point Engineers?
Terry. It's the second time we've gone down this road with them on this stuff, and
They just ran out of money and stopped.
sure, I really don't, we don't have an answer, we. Again, the town, the county, the city has spent considerable amount of time and resources to. Make this happen and.
Yeah.
They're gone.
We spent some money with MRB looking at.
Yep, it's
County
just-
Road,
yeah.
you know,
So did the
So
county.
do we next time just ignore them when they're coming to us?
Well, I
They
think
start-
next time, say, listen, we had this data already,
yeah.
everything's been televised, surveyed. Looked at joint intermunicipal agreements, we. There should be nothing else to do next time.
Yeah,
Well, if they come, I don't know, if we're gonna get refunded up there.
Yeah.
Then if
Is the reason.
we go down.
you can apply for a federal grant to refund us for the money we spent on them doing their homework.
Yeah. Yeah, hold our breath, we'll-
The county spent a lot of money,
Yeah,
I'm televising all that, recording it. Working with them, it was significant.
They do some smart things over there, like build entire substations that don't.
Grandview, so these road infrastructure, folks, this really, other than Yerkes Road and. What I'm trying to show you is that there are roads that need to be reconstructed. Grandview and Gorham Road are two small roads that don't get a lot of traffic, but I haven't put the money into because they're in poor shape to begin with. So I'm not gonna put, I'll call it lipstick on a pig to make it look pretty, and in 3 years it falls apart. You know, this is something that we need to fix drainage, particularly drainage on both roads.
They have
That's what's,
the
people
people
that
up
live
there
there
too,
complain.
right? That was during.
well,
DIY?
that thing get
Or was
damaged,
that just the sewer or?
that might have been, that came down
Yeah,
Gorham Street.
that's what I thought.
And their infrastructure was large enough to convey the water in the city.
Got it.
Yes, it just, nothing.
So it came down like stormwater.
Right,
Yeah, okay.
okay, these are projects that I'm not saying we need to buy, what I'm telling you is that we'd have to find a way to fund them in our budget.
Is some of the projects. Stuff that you would. Over time annually. Put in for. You know, an annual budget to.
What we could be looking at is, I don't wanna call it rolling bomb, it's like a very term I can think of. We should have a maintenance line, we'll say, of resurfacing, chip sealing, whatever we're doing, then we should also have a line for capital improvements, like I'll use Timberline Drive, okay, that we should be budgeting for that, like this year we're gonna budget 1.5 billion for Timberline Drive, or we're gonna budget 900,000 for shoulder repairs, culvert replacements, surface treatments, those types of things.
So given that we're gonna be in the budget season in a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna be presenting to.
Yeah, I wanna present, but I don't present, but also the same. What I'm also saying is like, you know, gutter repair. You know, I'll take Fox Ridge, it's, you know, it's just shot. Okay, the problem is, it's not, you just don't go through, pull out the old, put new, you gotta pull out the old. Pull out the old metal pipe, because it's all failed due to 30 years of having salt go through it. And then you gotta redo the rub, it'd be like, so to shoot the, you have to put a new binder and overlay it, so it's. You know, you think $2 million is a lot for gutter repair, but by the time you're done doing all this work, it's
Yeah, it's
not
not just
necessarily that
gutter.
much. And you had the same problem on Saddleback. Butler Road, we might be able to do this on, but Fox Ridge, look. Butler Road, we saved a ton of money because we lined it with the
You wanna-
fiberglass lining the whole road, because the gutter was, but the gutter was in good shape. But this
It's
is
just
not
the
good.
pipe was rotted.
The pipe was rotted out.
Can you set up a
So,
gutter district?
No.
so let me ask a question to get, because you would understand this better than I would. So what are you're using DA 100 towards what?
What's after that, 5110, 5130,
That's the one that's like, it's at like 700 about right now, so.
is it in the budget right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, so I got DA 232, the Highway Improvement Reserve Fund. We got DA 235, which is Snow and Ice Reserve Fund.
Okay.
You got DA 230, the Highway Equipment Reserve Fund. And then you got the capital projects and then just your general, general use things. But I'm just trying to figure out what comes out of what pocket.
None of those in my rate are currently funding anything in our budget,
Okay,
okay?
so
You are strictly funding the 5110, 400 line, which is
Okay.
our road repairs.
yes,
Strictly from either fund balance, sales tax, combination of both to get there.
so when do you choose to use the reserve funds or the capital project?
We haven't chose to use those in a few years, and the reason
Well, you
is,
did the one, because that was the one we had the million in and it's down, that was the one we did just last year. And it's down to like 300 and change now, so you did something from that one last year. So I don't know what, but that was the H39 capital project for highway road improvements. Cause this is showing it at 490 and that we funded with $1 million last year. Well, so, I mean, we can look through our agendas too, but I'm just trying to figure out what we, you know, where you're pulling, cause, you know. I want us to put money in a place that you know to look for it too, you know what I mean?
Well-
So, it says highway, that was the one we did last year, we just started, remember we had.
We might just put.
We had $1.5 million last year and we're like, okay, we're gonna put $1 million into the highway road improvements and then we put 500,000 into other spots, but. But that into like the North Road Complete Street and the other complete street. So, but we put, that's where we did them, that was
Yes.
last February, or I think February or March, we did $1 million into that one.
Well, there's $1 million in there, you should leave it there, cause you're gonna need it.
No, that's why we did it.
Well, what I'm getting at is like, when we do Southern Point Road.
Yeah.
the Town's gonna be a bank.
Yeah.
Up to 1.5 million.
Mhm.
The town's going to pay its bill,
And
we're gonna submit for payment, but that's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Okay, then on top of that 1.5, you're about to come up with another
Million,
500,000 to put this culvert.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm just wondering
Well-
where you're grabbing them, you know, when you're.
we haven't grabbed from, I don't recall what I might have grabbed from that, I thought that's just.
Something last year.
I'm drawing a blank, but I am, but. Long term, I'm saying is the next 18 months, that money we should
Oh, yeah.
use as to pay for a second White Road project.
So, but what do you use the reserve funds for right now?
We have like equipment, if we're shortfall, we'll use those,
Okay,
okay,
so these are like an overage.
That's
usually, that you're
overage.
using the reserve
and that was
funds.
a policy set up that if we have. X amount of dollars in there, like I'll use it like when we buy new dump trucks, like now we're over. Pushing close to. 300,000, so we could use a little bit of that to help offset that cost.
Okay.
We gotta buy a wheel excavator, and that's gonna be around 300,000. Use that equipment line
The
there
equipment one, yeah.
to offset the cost, so. You could go to that well in order to. Do the 25 budget to pay for his expenses.
So were these traditionally then funded every year with
At
some
the end
excess
of the
funds
year,
when
we
we
would
got?
typically take fund balance and
Yeah.
put them in there.
Which is where we are now, that's why I'm like, that's why I'm trying to figure out, you know, what are you using them for, how much do we need to be putting in there every year, you know, so that we can.
It depends on, I don't recall the policy for each one, we'll have to look at
Okay.
that, what the town board approved. and see
yeah, we
what-
set a range.
We set a range and we
Yeah.
want to stay within that range, obviously.
You
We
need for
haven't
these
done that
particular
for-
funds.
Yeah, I think, well, I think for most funds, we've done some sort of.
But we might not if we end up funding these.
Oh, well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we would,
Yeah.
we'll
Well, but
fund
but
these
that's what I'm
instead of
saying, before we're
backing it.
funding those, I wanna make sure that if he's regularly utilizing these for something, that they're not killed. And if you're not regularly utilizing for something, that you take the money, you know, and use it on
So I
something.
think snow is always a good
Yeah, that one, yeah.
backup, because we have gone to that well
Yeah.
before, it's been a few years, but it's there in your back.
I just got over 200 right,
Which
well,
maybe where we should be is what the town board set policy for.
yeah.
we need to have those numbers. As well as what our fund balance. Unexpended fund balance from last year is. Minus whatever we're gonna have to put in for next year's budget. And then look at those numbers and see how we can. Do some of this work,
Exactly.
but we haven't gotten to that point yet, so we don't have. We don't have a complete picture to really look at.
Mhm.
I don't know when we will.
So
And we gotta get through this AUD.
Right.
Once that's
That's
settled,
in,
then we
done.
can start making conclusions.
she's done, so that's submitted, so that's, we're
So
good.
maybe by the end of this month, we can start.
the Yerkes Road I put in there. Back in 09, 010, when. We did that last county cut off Thomas Road. So what that's done is driven a lot of traffic onto Yerkes Road, because that's really the only way. I say a quick way around now, because Thomas Road. What that has done is Thomas Road was never constructed. Back in the day to actually support that kind of traffic and mode. So we're having drainage issues, we're having running issues because the base is sustainable.
The part between Brickyard and 332.
Yeah, from New Michigan to 332. Okay. Traffic is a creek, so has the equipment that goes across that. That is something that we need to. Put one into, we haven't got to do it all at once, maybe we don't do it in phases. I'm not a really big fan of bonding roads, I don't think. I just. I think that's, you're not going to get, the roads will need work before you pay off the bond, is what I'm trying to say. I'd rather see us try and find a way to. Pay for it in phases versus. Borrowing $3 million for the next 20 years.
Problem is
Follow
that, you have recurring expenses every year plus the capital.
So-
These are. Where do you get to that? Number of dollars being available, others in fact.
When,
True.
when new neighborhoods are built, we're not allowed to create a road special district, right? That's not allowed.
Correct. A lot of times the infrastructure is built, paid for
Yeah,
by
no,
the,
yeah.
the developer who's gonna build the new road and dedicate to us. Buffalo Street Extension, I've been wanting to fix this for a while, but the problem is. NRB has done a survey, and the problem is when. Sidewalks were put in when the apartments were built, part of, I'll call it incentive zone. I don't know if it was or not, but it was way back. 07, 06, somewhere in that time frame. Problem was the sidewalks don't follow the road, so the road and the sidewalk are like this. So I can't put a gutter in between because of the gutter's gonna go like this. So either the road's gotta be rebuilt or the sidewalks have gotta be rebuilt, one or the other, something's gotta be redone completely. In order to make the drainage work correctly on that
And
road.
that's all the way up to
Well, from-
apartments?
No, just from basically from Outhouse Road up, well, yeah, all the way
Almost, yeah.
up to the apartments, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't start leveling off.
So. It's just something that needs to be done because it doesn't drain correctly, and again. Buffalo Street Extension has received a lot more traffic over the years. So, it needs to be, that section needs to be rebuilt. Now, the good news is there's very good gravel on the things there, because I'm sure they did back in the 80s. Problem is, it is wide enough. Well, I want to say 20 feet, and there's no drainage underneath it. So. I get that's something for the town to think about, in our budget, we look forward to doing stuff. We've already talked about Purdy Road, we get rid of that. And then Emerson Road. Again, that one there is a road I haven't touched in a while, and between.
Because you're gonna do some sewer there, right?
Yeah, it was bad, but between 332 and 28 road, we have a lot of active tractor trailers. Active uses that road constantly because they're going off of 28 road. They go to the thruway, but they're also using it to get to their facility through Airport Road. Because trying to make a U-turn or trying to make a left-hand turn is miserable for them. So they come up Emerson, down Fire Hall, up Airline, over the pack. They do the same thing coming back. That road again is a road that is significantly rutty, poor drainage, no base. And no shoulder.
There's heavy truck traffic, could we restrict that?
You can restrict it to local delivery only, but guess what? There are deliveries locally back.
And they have,
And who are you gonna get out there to enforce it?
and they said when we were there on our tour, they get 96 trucks a day going in.
Sure, I'm sure. So I had the same problem with Fair Street Extension. People say it's
Yeah.
posted. I'm like, I realize that. Trucks use it. I go, I know, because GPS tells them to. I go, that's how they get around. It's,
Yeah, they do.
That's just how it is. I go, and they're. Whether it's posted or not, unless you turn left or right on it, you're committed. It's not like you're gonna stop and turn around.
Yeah, I just, we wind up paying for.
We do.
Through traffic in many cases, it's not benefiting our town anyway, it's just convenient for the truckers. To
It
show the
is.
route by GPS or whatever.
You know,
So
you already-
towns wind up, it's not just us,
it's not that they. The other problem is when you get to 28, 332, they mark the left, well, that angle. People pull up, when they start to turn, they can't make that swing. They block traffic until someone moves, so they get around it.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
But it's a road that needs to be reconstructed. And it's an expensive road, because, I got $1.5 million down here, but that $1.5 million is what I would normally do throughout the year on road work. That doesn't include anything else.
Well, the problem is you've got a lot of million and a half and more.
Yeah.
And without banding, I don't see, I mean, you could put $1 million a year out of the highway budget for these things, but by the time you get them done, you're gonna redo them.
Sure.
And your point about banding is true, I mean. You're still paying off unless the band is paid off in 5 years, 10 years, rather than 30 years. I mean, 30-year band for roads, is crazy, yeah. But
It's that
for the
rolling.
time period, but
It's that-
that increases.
I know, it's that, looking in ways to do that rolling bond.
And then once the town board figures out how much you want to bond, and you gotta figure out what you're gonna do with your tax rate.
Yes.
You know, that's the other thing.
Well, it's gonna go up. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there's-
I know that, I'm just saying, it's like. You know, those are things that,
It's hard.
yeah.
you know.
Well, you try to do it a year when nobody's running.
I don't think we have one of those anymore. Don't exist.
We've talked about the facility capital
We're
projects.
recording.
Uh,
I don't know if well, we've got, kind of. Well, it's very 11. Gotta be in towards the end here, but, so the capital projects, I mean, we've talked pretty much through all of these already, so.
Yeah,
So I put down 2024 for the town hall and exterior bar.
Yeah,
Fire station with new bathroom, the bathroom will come with Blue Heron Park, separate facility, part of the zoning collection. Court facility parking lot repairs would go along with the court facility, because what they had designed was the facility between. The town hall and the new transfer station, I think we saw that and we looked at that. And then the transfer station to be determined, and we don't know about the fire station until. We know what the needs are gonna be, that's 10 years out.
yeah, well, we just put a couple $100,000 into a roof and all that.
I don't see a need right now.
So I,
Renovation and upgrade it rather than replace it.
Yeah, I think remodel on the inside.
didn't we say the
expand it.
city pays for all the interior remodels and we're exterior remodels?
We need to look at our, and I've got that on the list to look at the lease agreement and see where we are with it.
yeah, so they do, but I talked about because of the damage from the roof, that we would, you know, we would repaint, we fix some ceiling tiles. But
Okay.
yeah, so overall, they take care of the interior.
Okay,
That's the current.
Yeah, which hasn't,
are they working on the updates to the interior and urban areas?
yeah, they,
That, it's bad.
I know.
It's almost disrespectful of those employees to have.
I agree.
and I can hit parks real quick,
Okay.
Lindsay crossed off the list, there's a bunch she crossed off there, don't we do that there?
Which you cross off and get that. quick.
Yeah, 1 through 9.
Hey, Pierce Park, cross that off, cause that's just a regular budgeting item.
Okay,
Blue Heron Park, cross that off. Outhouse Park, that's just a regular budgeting item, number 4. Number 5, we kept that on there, but there are discussions, on number 5, I've had discussions with. Mr. Euler and also Mr. Ross. Who reached out, Castle's interested in. Doing some work with us for a soccer field over there.
Yeah.
Partnership, yeah.
A partnership with Outhouse West. It's, you know, so that's something to keep in the, you know, just keep on the back burner, but it's something to help continue that to
can I ask a
grow.
question about that?
Mm.
If they were to help build that act, would it be able to be used by other groups like
That's-
lacrosse teams and so on?
I mean, that's,
TBD.
I've had 2 emails, I've had 1 discussion and 1 email about it.
I would,
that's all
I
I
would
have.
ask about that, cause I know when we were
Yeah.
originally designing ball fields over there, remember back when we were doing it? There was a lot of response from other groups
Yeah.
besides just Castle.
McJanet Park, cross that off. That money was moved somewhere else. Auburn Trail is,
The mythical.
that has to stay for you, Terry. Number 8, cross that off.
I hope Dennis and I live long enough to see. The final
Yeah.
resolution, I won't say completion, I just.
The resolution. And number 9 is an ongoing trail access and connection points, is just an ongoing, we're always looking for those.
What was number 8, that got active?
Yeah. Trail improvements, yeah,
You're saying because they're part of the regular budget?
but they're always kind of rolled in and she budgets for trail improvements, so there's
Quick,
there, is that okay?
that was good to me. It always brings us to uptown capital project.
And that's just.
Streetlight, a lot of this, how bid figures into this is a bit of a mystery to me still, something that. We're the board of directors, the town board is.
But there's nothing there yet.
It's, yeah.
There is $99,000 for the Uptown Canandaigua Infrastructure Capital Project.
So that money, so the bid pays for the lighting. And that money will pay for the lighting poles. So whatever that tax rate will fund the note. For the
What's the
lighting.
total? What was it,
800,000.
$8?
Yeah, I had too many numbers there, one, two.
Yeah, too many.
I was like, what is it?
It was 808 million.
8.4 million.
I had some, my figures work fast or something, I don't know. I just
So
800,000.
are we
Everybody
getting
gets a light.
some of this for that though, this Uptown Infrastructure Canandaigua, that was originally intended for lights, I think. And that's $100,000 in there.
Well, what I would suggest is I'd show Jared the soft cost of going out to bond, you know. And maybe use some of that money to pay for those costs, cause you'll.
Yeah.
What did I tell you, 60?
1,000.
Yeah.
That's when we were deciding to make our own bond company.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's.
We were gonna be a bonding company.
65 to buy.
Yeah.
I could show you.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much it costs.
So, when is the lighting project going to be done?
Well, last week, the lights specs came back in, it's 24 weeks lead time, so fall, late fall, early winter, it's possible.
Very late fall.
Yeah.
6 months from now, that'd
6
be
months. Mhm.
October. So, but I mean, this is going ahead.
We're going ahead with the lights, right?
We're gonna get them done.
Right.
You don't need lights in the summer, cause it's.
My
gonna be light
question
out.
with that was, we're doing the. Where are we with RFP for the lighting? Cause I know we had Centrica who was gonna look at installing the lights and doing the turnkey, or are we gonna install the lights?
My understanding was, I'm gonna write the bid on the light that we chose. which
Right.
is, we got the specs back on and put it out.
And put it out and it'll be, okay, you're gonna, here's quote us to install this light.
You know, we're not going to
Perfect, yes.
ask or equal, or maybe just, it's a light we like.
Install
I'd like
it.
to buy it.
Perfect, okay.
Alright, and we're paying for that bond out of the bid.
We're paying for that out of the uptown bids.
Which
that-
has some money too, I think.
No, it already has money in there from last year.
I've got like don't they have like 400?
It's got one, I wanna say. 180, cause we bought the Bobcat,
Oh, yeah.
175 to 185, 1200. I don't, that's just the number off the top of my head.
Okay, intersection improvements, that's,
Those aren't anything that we can control, but those are independent, and then wayfinding signs, we're crossing those off.
yeah, that was funded, the initial study was done by CLBC. We never accepted or done anything with that study. We should
Kill it.
kill it,
Kill it
as a
with fire.
resolution or something to, I don't know what they're doing. The city's not acted on it either. They feel the same way we do. I mean, as an aside, the number of signs that was if you were required in uptown, the historic district, the city and the lakefront. There are hundreds of signs that would have been.
That's why it's $3 million. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a note
not like
of
we
that.
have GPS telling us all where to go or anything like that.
Then you have to maintain.
Yeah. I don't even know how wayfinding signs get done. Like, why, you wanna talk about a want?
Well,
That's not even a want.
people use these things. I mean, you don't need them,
Nobody,
no. That's, you can find anything.
All right. I got that. And then the street furniture that got crossed off, bus stops that got crossed off, and landscaping that got crossed off. Because we weren't comfortable landscaping in the mediums because of liability. Bus stops are to be determined. If they want, if bus stops would be requested, and then that's a discussion between the bus company and then the local
We usually
businesses.
get private funding for bus stops,
Yeah, and-
shelters.
Do you request those sometimes, Chuck, and plan, like,
Yeah.
if somebody's gonna be building that
Well,
big
the
development,
pad.
you would be requesting
Yeah.
a bus stop, right?
Mhm.
Okay. One other thing
Not
from
the
our,
shelter.
okay,
Yeah, the shelter's usually, like I said, commercial.
Yeah.
Somebody will pick it up.
from our town walking too, though, it's not really landscaping per se, but we did talk about maybe the need for some sound reduction bushes and things along the 332 corridor there. Just because it was very,
It's loud.
it's very loud walking along there and very, it's not creating an environment where it's very walkable, so.
Is that on 332?
On
Yeah.
332, we're talking about, what we're thinking about, like between the sidewalk and the road, like,
With trees.
I don't know,
There's
that's.
grass
that's-
there, but the trees,
Trees are sad.
Not trees, we're talking about bushes,
something to, yeah,
Not
not.
worry about sight distance, blocking sight distance.
yeah, that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
State maintains.
But when we do form-based.
Yeah.
They do the tree, well, whatever
The
trees.
building something up front and blocking the sound.
Here's what I
Right,
can
they're
tell
just
you.
they're gonna have shrubs in front of them, that's what all the stuff I've seen.
shrubbery.
So what I could,
Oh,
What I
when it
can
goes
tell
all
you is
electric
that-
cars, the sound is
That's
dramatic.
332 allows the town to do some work to
Yeah.
trees, like branches that might be, but if we're going to redo,
Yeah.
then you're coming in with a plan.
I totally
Understand.
So
They're right.
it's just, that's just, you know, you're
For now.
Let's keep it in the,
I'm not saying you can't do, it, I'm just saying expect.
I mean, if we're doing, well, I'm talking about like if there's a. I mean, I don't know, with the, so this, if anything's 332, they're stopping where, aren't they, with the state stopping their reconstruction stuff at North Road, right? They're doing
To
some.
do
work.
signal lights or stuff.
They're doing signal lights, they're not doing any work, they're not digging anything.
Huh.
Okay,
It's all
well,
about-
so I mean, I guess it's, so, but anything in the right of way there that's put in has to be done by the state?
Well, we could do the work, they have to approve the work that has to be done.
Okay, so. I mean, I guess our question would be if there's work intended in the area or we're disturbing something to maybe do we need a plan or a thought process for how to, sort of mitigate sound with some
Yep.
landscaping? Do you know what I mean?
I think, but you're gonna have to plan it.
That's what I was saying, do we have to pay for some $60,000 plan for bushes?
You just can't throw a bush up there.
I would let the bid get involved.
Let the bid get
Yeah, that
involved.
sounds like good.
Before-
Let the people doing the projects get involved and we don't,
Yeah,
touch it.
we can do that if and when projects. come.
yeah,
We'll have
yeah,
frontage.
Or
right.
Dave and I can go plant some Arbor Day
If-
trees.
When they come in
At night.
along that frontage and then
At
that happens then.
I don't know if you wanna get into water capital projects today or has everybody had enough already?
It's only 80 million.
Well,
It's half.
I'll just say this to the board. I put, if you did nothing, you are going to have to replace the fire hydrants and you're going to have to replace these main lines. And the reason I say this, currently we have valves that don't work. Okay, and when we have problems, I don't shut off 20 people, I shut off 80 people, because now I have to go farther each direction.
Mhm.
It becomes more disruptive when to do the work, is what I'm getting at here. They don't close like they used to, they've been around for 50 years, and the pucks are just hard from the years of chlorine,
Mhm.
so.
Is that a project that could be again, banded for bonding, I mean, something that could be done and hired outside and have someone come in and do it all in one season or something like that, or is it-
That, what,
I know you guys can do it, but it's,
the mainline valves, I would recommend to the board of using inserter valves. Where we don't have to shut the system down. But you're doubling the cost of each valve to install it. So if the valve costs, now you're looking at, 20,000 a valve. Especially for a 12-inch valve.
is that the number you have in here though? Or-
Yeah, it's $9,500 for the valve, per valve.
And the reasoning for that, are the valves better, or is the reasoning for that less disruption of service?
With inserter valve, there's no disruption of service, okay?
But I'm saying, is that the reason that we would be doing it to not disrupt service, or is it because it's a better valve?
We would do it so we didn't disrupt service, not necessarily better valve, because now you're seeing on the pipe. So if as the pipe ages or wears, now that seed it, expands. Now you still have the leak going by, after you still close it,
Okay,
okay? It's a good product. I don't think you wanna do it throughout the town.
so how long is the disruption if you have to shut water off to replace? You do it in small sections, or is-
It should be like 3 hours a valve.
So,
It's not terrible.
yeah,
I mean, with a decent amount of warning,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, you can do it, it's not
worst thing,
the end of the world, the problem is like,
don't do it at like,
when I say
7
replace the
a.m.
valve,
or
you've got
shower.
2 high max couplings, piece of pipe,
Yeah.
a valve. And most of the pipe on Middle Cheshire Road is the odd size stuff,
Mhm.
so our fittings are more expensive on that. Cause everything is gross.
But you said that the one where we didn't have to shut off would be twice the cost,
It is,
so. But and that's, I'm just trying to figure out, is there a quality improvement from that higher cost too, or is it simply for the functionality of not taking away service for a couple hours?
yes.
There is an improvement in the quality of what they're gonna get.
No, not with valve, I know that I would go with a new valve versus insert a valve.
So then I would think that we would just go with the one that causes the disruption if it costs half of
And maybe what we do is we put in some insert valves in different spots.
where you need it.
Where we
so-
need it, so we can do all the work in the area without being disrupted.
I mean,
You might have
that-
a little combination of both.
you have replaced some hydrants over time.
We've been doing like 20 a year.
And we can't do
15.
special district for hydrants either?
No. Cause they're already in this, how you're gonna do is you're gonna raise
For
your
the
water.
wa, are they in the water district?
They're in the water district.
So they're all gonna have to be through the water districts, which don't have anywhere near enough money to pay for them.
No, we're gonna get that with solid.
We are.
Yeah, but we're only doing like 12 a year, 15 a year, because they're
Are the
around.
smaller ones borrowing against the consolidated then if you will, or
Nope.
are you doing with the small?
Nothing with smaller ones. We're just in the,
So they have enough to cover the fire hydrants?
well, not all of them, that's 4.2 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's a lot of money.
So we do 15 a year, you
Yeah.
just pick away at it.
Well, maybe that's,
So that's not necessarily something we gotta bond and look for, it's flowing automatically into the.
It's already in the system now,
Okay.
but if you were to not do anything with water. We have to do something with the hydrants and the valves.
hydrants are all tested every year, right?
Well, we operate we do quadrants, so we get around. So basically 3.5, every
Every
3
few
years,
years.
we get around to make sure they operate best they can. The problem is the two big Kennedy hydrants. Their design is poor, and what happens is you have a brass stem. I'm sorry, a brass riser to a steel stem, even though we grease them. Even though we do stuff, water is constantly getting into the top of it. There's no seal, back then they didn't think about that. They're just old, they don't work well.
So is the recommendation that we just keep chipping away at them, or that we?
We do. We should.
Or I don't be,
If you keep chipping away at 442 hydrants, that's like 30 years.
Yeah.
And then you start over again.
Right.
So maybe,
So what are you
So
recommending?
my recommendation would be we should. Start fixing them like. Well, Westlake Road. Where,
They're not 50 years old, yeah.
yeah, they are, that section was put, there's sections there.
Oh, the front, the earlier.
67. Okay, so point being is. I would like to make sure those order.
Yep.
Okay, versus.
Oh, yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah. Versus, there could come a day when maybe it was a problem with one and the stem broke.
So that section goes through where, cause I know the other, it's
So it
90 is a little bit
starts from
further
Wells
south.
Curtis Road to Tishner Point.
Those are the, okay,
That's the original
that's the original, that's the 60s one.
67.
And then south of there, I know was what, like 90,
Yeah, it was back in
90,
the
92,
90s.
somewhere.
From Wells Curtis Road
Yeah.
to
Miller Hill,
Miller Hill.
yeah. And then from Tishner Point to town is.
No, Tishner stops at Tishner Point, and from Tishner to, Wells Curtis Road is the older.
No, but I mean, how old are they from
Going
Tishner
north.
Point going north?
Oh, going
City?
to the water, that was
Water.
also.
That's also 90s, okay.
so they're pretty modern.
Yeah, those are our three big newer Kennedys.
And then from the water facility to the city line, also new?
That's all city.
Okay, so,
They,
oh, that's all city,
the city, well, that's where they put the water treatment plant in.
that's, okay,
So they kept all those services off the homes.
so the main, when you say County Road 16, you mean Foster Hill essentially, so.
Yeah, in that area for that that area. Correct.
And then, okay,
What is the recommendation that we do?
add those to the.
I say you should probably buy a bunch of fire hydrants. Yes,
You, I mean, you have some kind of an idea anyway, or a listing of. The ancient ones down through the newest that
oh, that's
you
easy.
can easily say, let's do 50 next year.
Right.
Or 100 at.
Correct.
You want us to get
95.
ahead on it so that you're not. piddling.
What has happened is we're spending money on
Yeah.
buying parts
Mhm,
because they
Yeah.
seize up.
yeah.
We clean them, they seize up. My concern is in the event of a fire and it doesn't operate, we don't. Look at that.
Well, there's a fire boat now, so.
It's a fire.
The lake never runs out.
That could be part of the, you're not part, or how do you pay for it?
You
Come out
draw on
consolidated,
yeah, council, you would increase the O and M to pay for, let's say you bonded 5 million, I'm just using the number, you would use that to pay for it.
And bond within Canada Consolidated.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then have somebody come in and do.
we can look at the price, we'll get a cost with it. Versus us, so.
You just call in the debts of the of the smaller districts inside
Sure.
Consolidated.
There is, I don't know why I didn't think, but someday I really wanna get the water main out in front of Cheshire and not behind the houses.
Yeah,
It's miserable to work back there. Cause everybody in 50 years is built over, around, dug up,
Put a sidewalk in that, Jim.
I will gladly put a sidewalk in at the end of the day, but
Did they want one?
they do.
I would say
Pay for it.
50% of them really want a sidewalk and 50% of them really don't.
want a sidewalk,
Yeah, that's it.
But there should be a sidewalk there, I mean, it's just not.
We should do a petition vote and
I-
see what happens.
The pressure reducing valve Foster Road, again, that's 50-ish years old. It is deteriorating. It was it's not the concrete that was made up today, but that
What's a PRV involved?
pressure reducing valve.
What is that for?
So the
Water?
tank is at
Yeah.
1,130 feet above
Okay.
sea level as it comes down. At around the 900-foot line,
You don't need
the
it.
pressure is coming in at about 150. We have to drop it to get down to the lake.
Got it.
So it goes from say 150 to 80. Then by the time it gets to the lake, it's back to about 130. Without it, quality's out the ground.
Long fixture, little
Yeah.
wall.
is that one, 250 grand?
That one for you, that one, okay.
That's
You
what
would
we
Low
look at
pressure.
the annual budget.
Good.
Okay.
I work under pressure.
I've asked about the water main extension of Dual Road, that's just, you guys are familiar with that?
Like you
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
I didn't
it
get
is. The aeration in Kramer Road, that is going to be part of our VIA grant application. So we could get aeration in that tank to help with our disinfection byproducts.
We didn't do that when we,
We did not,
should.
should have. Again, Smith Road tank is another want to get rid of the additional pump stations.
Is that isn't that in a congressional directed spending grant? Did Bristol do that with?
Yeah, Bristol,
It's not the same
Bristol's
one.
doing something different for
It's
their
not the 4-H
tank.
one, okay.
Loop that ends, that's something we should always do. And then auto flushers is something we should budget for, cause we flush a lot, and if we had auto flushers, that'd be great.
What are auto flush?
It's a device that has a timer on it, it will flush X amount of gallons of water out of that end automatically.
Okay.
So that way there keeps the water newer in the system, so it doesn't collect or create additional stations.
Letter to go out to people and tell them they got poisoned by the water.
No, that's not fun,
We don't like
So you
those.
put auto flushers in 300K,
right,
or spend 4 million to lose everything.
right. I'm just,
Easy.
that's easy. And the last folks as just the technology stuff, I really don't have.
So we've done number one,
Okay,
done a cloud base.
What do you mean, you do a check mark,
Well,
not an
yeah,
X,
don't do
a
it.
check mark?
Now, hold on. Number two, we're still transferring over. I haven't gotten the word from Jess yet whether finance is over to fully cloud-based yet, but number one and number two are pretty darn close. So number one, two, and three should be checked off within the super near future. Right now, considering the company that Sue's been looking at our website, because our website's not. Is this recording? Yeah. it is
Yeah.
recording. So our website needs work to make it our website needs work to bring it up to speed for what we're required to have on it. So Sue's been looking into that and talking to our current vendor to see what they can do to improve it and bring it up to what's required. And then other communications through our website, and we already have a lot of things that can be, a lot of our programs already do offer communications options, so she's been looking into some of them. So. 1, 2, and 3 should be checked off. 1, 2, and 3 should be checked off pretty
I
soon.
thought that was another thing.
My age. I've gotta run, I gotta be the farm in like 10 minutes, so. The bill, if you're getting questions on, because I already, your predecessor was the first person to text me, Jim Hecker. The first one to text me about his water bill.
Uh-oh.
oh, the $9?
Yeah, so the Farmington, Canada Farmington Water District users are getting a $9 charge on their bill. It's a meter charge. And according to Supervisor Ingolfi, it's because last year they spent $143,000 to install new meters.
Okay,
And they're passing it back through, they're charging $9 a bill as a meter charge. So they're passing that back through. So that's what that is. Just so you're aware, if people ask, it's a $9 charge for the meters, for the new meters. And then